Welcome to beautiful sunny Texas. Rather chilly today, a mild 37 degrees. I'm Mike Venezia, and this is the story of the 4 Little Engines ALCOs. During my tenure with Little Engines, I took it upon myself to bring back to life the wonderful ALCO Northern that Seymour Johnson and Martin Lewis designed all the way back in 1946, patterned after the original Union Pacific 484s. They were magnificent machines, and there were 7 original engines built. But after more than 40 years of service, the patterns fell victim to disrepair, splintering, coming apart, getting lost, and not being able to produce quality parts for an engine that was, let's just say, challenging at the least to build. So I decided to bring the engine back to life, as it was always a dream of mine, but thought in the process it would be a lot of fun to bring the engine back in the form of a Hudson as well. Being a fan of and growing up on the Lackawanna Railroad where my relatives worked, I decided to pattern the start after the Lackawanna Hudsons. Lo and behold, here some 16 years later, all 4 engines are done in the form of 2 big ALCO Hudsons and 2 big ALCO Northerns. All the castings and parts available from Little Engines. It was a monumental task. I enjoyed undertaking it, and the results were that of an engine that weighs in well over 2,000 pounds and really gives you the feel of being able to run a full-size locomotive, from the way it feels on the track, to firing it, to the stack torque, to the maintenance involved. Today, for the first time ever, all 4 of these engines, the first 2 Hudsons produced and the first 2 ALCO Northerns built from all the new patterns and first built in over 30 years, are here at the Wimberley Blanco and Southern Railroad. And we're going to videotape the engines going through their paces, double heading, possibly a quadruple header, pacing, and more. We'll give you footage on board. There'll be interviews from various engineers from full-size railroads that are going to be helping us today. Some talk from Boilermaker Marty Knox. My best friend and builder Paul Keiser is here, along with Machinist Pam Weiss and others. And we'll take you for a ride that you'll thoroughly enjoy. If you want more information on building one of these, visit littleengines.com. I'm sure Jesse will be more than help you with whatever it is that you need. Let's go for a ride. Okay, Frank. Ready? Yeah. Got it?
Well, I'm ready to get to work. Yeah.
I'll tell you when. You're just going to set the independent to full. Move the table. Double-headed brake valve. Yeah, I heard it. It's pretty smart. Pull them open. Marty, I'll pull you back. climb up out of here. I'll put it in mid-gear. Marty, 15 feet to close clearance on your left side. double-headed both Hudsons and both Northerns together as teams, the Georgetown and Western engines and the two Lackawanna engines as teams. The Lackawanna engines pulled a long passenger consist, and the two Georgetown and Western engines were pulling the freight consist. We did a tremendous amount of pacing out there today to give the feel of realism to model railroading and just to show the kind of power that the Little Engines ALCOs have. Here beside me is my prize and jewel, is my 1637 Lackawanna ALCO Q4 Pocono Northern. Next to it is my Lackawanna ALCO Hudson 1154. To the right of that is the magnificent Georgetown and Western 1690 484 Northern, built by my good friend Paul Keiser. And to the right of that is the 9100 ALCO Hudson 464, also built by Paul Keiser. These four engines represent 16 years of this day in the making. The two Hudsons originally were conceived and started back in 2003 when I had the idea of bringing the ALCOs back to life. These were the original 1.5-inch scale engine offered by Little Engines and date back to 1946. After that, we continued along, and then we built the two Northerns, making the four of them the first of the ALCOs built with all the new parts and castings available today. And they have really proven to be an absolutely stellar model, easier to build than the original, and just as powerful as ever. I'm going to introduce my good friend, railroader and Boilermaker, Marty Knox from Ridge Locomotive. Marty, come on over and talk to the folks for a minute. How you doing, pal? Good to see you.
Good to be seen.
Marty, we've been friends for 42 years, and
like
we've, yeah, a long time. And we've done a lot together over the years, whether it be full-size railroading or model railroading. And as a Boilermaker and actual railroader, we had the opportunity today to stay point on my Hudson 1154. What was it like in comparison to you from running a full-size engine?
It's the closest I've ever had, it's the closest experience I've had to running a real locomotive. And all the controls are laid out the way a real locomotive is, and it behaved like a real locomotive.
Did the engine feel as though it had the power that you needed on demand? Did the engine respond in a prototypical manner to you?
Yes, it did.
And did it feel like you were running a model?
No, it felt like I was running a locomotive.
Well, there we have it. The proof is in the pudding. Did you have a good day?
Oh yeah, the best.
That's great. I'm glad. Thanks for coming out and being with us on this historic day. I appreciate it. This is my good friend Vance Nickerson. Vance is a long-time steam veteran and employee of the Union Pacific Railroad. And Vance had the opportunity today to run the 1637 solo around the track, pulling the large passenger consist by itself. Vance, good to see you again.
Good to see you, Mark.
What did you think? How did the engine respond? What was it in comparison to run a real one for you?
They're incredible models, if you want to call them a model. Very responsive. The controls, they're something to be proud of. You
Well, I
built
appreciate
some
that.
incredible pieces of equipment. People can call them small models if they want, but they are a scaled down version of a real locomotive.
Well, there's 4.5 tons of locomotives sitting here, so I don't know that I'd call them all that small. But yeah, did you feel as though, as big a man as you are, that you were cramped for space on the engine?
Oh, well, you've got them laid out fantastically. They're easy to operate, and they were a pleasure to run.
And they gave you the feel of running the real deal.
Oh yeah.
Outstanding.
Excellent.
Thanks for visiting with us today. I appreciate it.
Thank you for the opportunity.
During the concept and build of these four engines, decision was made after the two Hudsons were done when we decided to build the Northerns to team up with a person who became one of our best friends in the hobby. She is a machinist beyond machinist, and we involved Pam in this project along with the engine that she's building on her own, which would be the fifth one of these. And Pam got involved very early on in the concept of building the Northerns, and she became our good friend. And Paul and I taught her how to run and operate these live steam models. And we're going to bring Pam over now and talk to her just a little bit about what it was like. Pam, come on over.
Hey, Mike.
Good to see you, hon. Pam, you did an incredible job when we teamed up with you, Paulie, and I to build all of these things. And I mean, one of the things that Paulie always marveled over is that you were 1,700 miles away and you'd machine a part and it would fit right onto the engine. during the time that you spent doing all the machine work on these and helping us proof the prints and correct problems and whatnot, did you really feel that you were building something minuscule or small in model and size?
No. This is monumental.
Yeah, well, it is. Yeah, they are monumental and heavy of that. Back in the early days when you first started traveling with Paul and I, and you got to run my Mikado, where you basically cut your teeth on my oil-fired Mikado. Now that was a small engine in comparison to these. So when you run these, do you feel like you're sitting on a full-size locomotive, and does it give you the feel of the power that you deserve when you're out there pulling big trains? What are your thoughts?
Absolutely. They're incredible. You feel the power, of course. You know.
Well, great. That's great. And we really appreciate everything that you've done for us over the years, and we really enjoy having you travel with us to these special meets. And like I said, 16 years in the making to this day. Now I'm going to bring over my good friend Paul Keiser. Paul has become one of my best friends in this hobby, my compadre, my buddy, my traveling companion, also the caretaker of the 4 engines when they're here in Texas. Paul, come on over and let's talk about what we've done over the last 16 years. How you doing, buddy?
Good to see you, Mike.
We had a great day running, didn't we?
We had a great day.
We had a great day.
And they stayed on the tracks.
And they stayed on the
that's
track.
Good.
There's good plus there.
That's right.
Paulie, these 4 engines represent 16 years of our life.
That's right.
Paul is the builder of the 9100. I actually started the engine side by side in 2003 with the 1154, and in 2004 Paul bought the chassis and machine parts from me and finished the 9100. And then Paul built the 1690, and after he got done building the 1690, Paulie decided he was bored. So he says, Mikey, he says, I wanna build your Northern for you. So we machined up a bunch of parts and we shipped them down to Paul, and Paul machined up a bunch of stuff, and we built the 1637 as the last one. The one that actually represents every one of the new parts on all of these engines. Would you do it again?
Sure. When can we start a new one?
When can we start a new one? Let me design something first and we'll see how we go.
We'll get after that.
Yep, and Paul and I have been around the country. We've been to Arizona with the engines, Train Mountain. The 9100 was one of the engines that we took to Train Mountain. It performed flawlessly. And when you first started building and you were working with me with the Little Engines product, did you feel like you embarked on something that you really didn't know what you were doing?
Absolutely. Had no idea what I was doing. But then I got in the hobby and I said, this is something for me.
This is something for you?
Yep. And so you figure out how to do it and you just make it and you do it.
I understand that this is actually your wife's fault. She called you need a hobby.
She told me to get a hobby.
Yeah, and look what happened 16 years
that's
later.
Exactly right. So, a great hobby, a great experience.
And when you first started this, I had said to you that you need to fit the man to the locomotive.
That's correct.
And because you had originally came to me and you wanted to build one of our small Baldwin mobiles, little model 260, and without insulting you, I said that you were too big of a man for an engine that small. And after all these years and all these tons of coal later, are you sorry you didn't build that little engine?
No, I'm not sorry at all. The bigger the better.
The bigger the better.
That's right.
The bigger the better. Hey buddy,
Thanks.
it's been a great 16 years. We're going to have 16 more.
Exactly.
Thanks for coming
Thank
today
you.
and taking care of all the engines for us.
Great. Thank
You've done
you.
a magnificent job.
Thank you.
Paul Keiser of the world famous Keiser Shops, Round Rock, Texas.
Thank you.
Coming into the station now is the Lackawanna Superpower doubleheader, preceded by the engine that started it all, Lackawanna 1154, the ALCO Hudson, followed by Lackawanna 1637, pulling a heavyweight Constas doubleheading. Engineering the Hudson today is Greg Udolph, followed by engineering fireman Marty Knox. Engineering the 1637 today is my good friend Pete Green, followed by engineer Dan Snickers. What a great day. Superpower at its best. Coming in now on track 2 is the Georgetown and Western Express Freight, preceded by Georgetown and Western 9100, the other Hudson that started it all, followed by Georgetown and Western 484 Northern 1690. Operating the Hudson today is owner-builder Paul Keiser, my good friend. Operating the 1690 Northern is our real good friend Bob Hornsby, who's the track superintendent here at the Wimberley, Blanco and Southern. Again, Little Engines ALCO Superpower at its best. I'm Mike Venezia, and I want to thank you for coming along on this ride with us today. This has been a 16-year journey for all of us here today to reach this point, to have all 4 of these engines built, operating, and in steam. I hope you've enjoyed watching this as much as we've enjoyed making this, and the great times we've had with these 4 spectacular locomotives and all the folks that were here to help us today. Keep your steam up, and we'll see you at the track.